Hey, I'm going live a little early. I think I was scheduled for like another 30 minutes or something, but I decided I was going to go early. I was a little frustrated because my dog ate one of my mics. I don't know how this one's going to sound, but I guess the good thing is I can compare this to my one from last week and decide which one sounds better. Maybe this one does sound better. I used to have this one. This was like in the closet. And y'all, like, your dog ate your mic. Man, I leave that mic on the floor all the time. And the dog just had reefers and blunts, and he took my killer tape. No, I forgot that old line from Master Killer from Wu Tang. But nah, the dog normally doesn't do that. I got some bad little dogs, but they normally don't do that. I think maybe they smelled my breath on the speaker part because it's a headphone mic, but it was a good one. So now I'm using like older, more sensitive, like music mic. So it's meant for like a real quiet room. And as you can probably hear, excuse me, my computer is loud. So let me get to it. I'm doing this video because I decided I've been into so many serious topics. I want to take a step back and just explain how I kind of think a little bit differently. Because when I brought this up on Facebook, I posted, and people were like, because I said that this was a win for black men, and I'm talking about Meg the Stallion's pitch. And to my surprise, I don't think anybody just purely agreed with me. Had a couple, well, one person who was throwing a whole bunch of stuff about black women. It's like, and I was going on with my issues that I talked about last week with the manosphere. For the most part, they don't really change laws. To me, men's rights activists are a lot like uh, Democratic maybe voters, maybe black Democratic voters, not and liberals to some extent. Before like late 2018, when we actually had an agenda, and it was like, you need to vote or you need to do this for our vote. In the sense that they do a lot of complaining, but they don't really have an agenda where it's not like, hey, Democrats, Republicans, you need to change these family court laws. We're getting screwed. So you don't really have that. But what you do have is a lot of people talking about how hood ratting and not the quadrillions, 100 trillions of wealth plunder is an issue that we need to focus on. And like I said, if you were paying attention, you could see that this Pearly thing didn't really make sense. Because she isn't the first one. Like, I think it was that Molinar dude. A lot of these white men's rights activists are just manosphere type dudes. They've broken bad in the past, and they'll continue to break bad. And the reason, and I tried to explain to somebody on Twitter, I'm Captain ADOS on Twitter, and somebody was bringing up how, I think it was from that No Jumper show. Somebody, I don't even know the names of the people. I used to like that show for about a month, about last year, just because they had some funny porn star stuff. And that one dude, I forget his name, that one like mix pimp dude that they have, he's just he's like shock value funny. I'll say it is what it is. I'm an is what it is person. Sometimes guttural trash can be hella entertaining, and that was entertaining. So I watched it on and off, but it was, it's not the type of thing I'm gonna sustain. I'm not gonna watch it too often. But um the dude, one of the dudes from somebody from that show, they were making a point. I'm remembering my thoughts now, so this is good. They were making a point about how messed up divestors are. And black men hear that and they're like, look, see, even white folks know how messed up it is. And Like, we need to hear white people's opinion to know that. Look, uh, uh, if you can teach a gorilla how to do sign language, they ought to have enough sense to know that you got to be messed up to like be cliquish and brag about divesting in redlinia. If you know what I mean by redlinia, I talked about it last week. Redlinia is the hood. It is the ghetto, as I'm going to take frequently from Aston, who was on the channel last week. So yeah, if there's like that should be obvious. We don't need anybody to say it. And this is what I mean. Like, you gotta check white people because you don't want to promote them and have them break bad as bigots like pearly things. Well, how do you check them? Reparations? Do they keep Sambo? That always seems to work. That works on black people. Like, that would have exposed Obama. That would have exposed, well, if I guess in a way we kind of had to wait on Obama. Let's wait till we get in office and then spring the question and expose him. But hey, we did it. We exposed him. But see, it worked. But Obama, he has some questionable brothers around him, but he's not obvious when it comes to keeping Sambo. Other people are like anybody, I think, that was messing with some of the people who are similar to Obsidian, or that whole rhetoric that we need to cut out the hood ratting and that will somehow do anything in terms of building redlinia is crazy. That to me is nuts. So I don't really see black people as being very sexual in the sense that um, when it comes to power dynamics, we're pretty much like dogs. We're asexual. So I'm not, I struggle with that whole thing where like black men and black women have separate issues. To me, it's like not when the racial wealth gap is so stark and so deep into um, five good neighborhoods out of 500 territory. It really doesn't matter. Like, yeah, there's a lot of men's rights issues that black men and white men share, but one, they're not doing anything to change it. They'll sooner break bad and turn into like a Malino white supremacist. So they're not really teaming up to address that stuff anyway. So really, we're a pretty much genderless group of people. We're defined more by human rights violations and the effect of human rights violations. So when I see Meg the Stallion causing a whole bunch of people to turn their neck, just not angry black women challenging beauty standards, but coy, girly, feminine challenging beauty standards, that to me is a W for black people, period. Because I remember not that long ago, and I don't want to say her name because I've forgotten it. I don't want to look it up and put her on blast. But there was this black female news reporter who she looked like her weave fell out of the sky, like the blimp at the football game dropped her weave, and she just kind of moved her head around and just rocked out with that. That's a bad look. I mean, it's bad enough if your women are wearing somebody else's hair, but to do it horribly. I mean, and Meg the Stallion, I think that's her natural hair or whatever. But even if she had like some body to it, some artificial body, and I'm not talking about from the neck down, I'm talking about her hair because her body looks pretty real. Like that'd been like the best BBL in the history of BBLs. But even if she had like some artificial body, it's a hair texture within her ethnicity. You know, it's like if that dude David Hensley that kind of got the little Golden Glove feel, and I would have done the same thing. People are like, "Yo, if the black man did it," I'm like, "Well, I'll be that black man. I'll take the smoke." They're like, "That was a sexual assault." I'm like, "Yo, the devil made me do it, and God agreed. The devil and God both agreed, and I just I couldn't, once they agreed, then I had to do it. Like I'd be explaining and deflecting, but I'd have done the same thing. They pay you more if you get like a gold or platinum glove anyway. So, and baseball players tend to be very superstitious. So I'm just saying I would have done the same thing. It's kind of ironic too, because I just got MLB The Show. I got Xbox Pass. So MLB The Show has been free. So I'm looking at the new MLB The Show. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna keep with this Xbox Pass, getting all these free games, and I'm playing it, and I'm like, hey, they got the Negro Leagues. I don't really like how they did it. I like that they added some stories to it, and they're telling the history about it. That's wonderful. But I wish they would have just took some old school music and put us actually in the Negro Leagues. And instead of like doing Negro League challenges, which are cool, but I wanted to play a just straight up season in the Negro Leagues. That would have been real cool. Might have been controversial, or they might have had to change too much with the demographics in the stands. But from what I understand, at least from what I've seen, they had a lot of people that weren't black in the stands watching the game. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to brush up on my history in that respect. But I mean, that's pretty much all I'm gonna say. Because like, I think her femininity, the fact that she wasn't dressed all crazy like Ciara at that after party, she was dressed sexy, but she wasn't dressed like. I mean, Ciara, what she wore to that after party, to me, she should have just went naked, or at least topless on some African shit. I mean, that was crazy. Hear them dogs right now. My dogs are bad, man. I'm glad I didn't catch them doing that, because I'm normally a patient dude. I'm not trying to be abusive to animals. But if I would have caught them chewing up that, I'd have been hot. But I didn't catch them, thankfully, and I was able to calm down. But I ain't been that hot in a while. Like, I've had bad things, but for some reason that got to me because I just didn't expect it. I'm testing my mic and I'm thinking it's working. And then I look at it, I'm like, somebody bit this goddamn thing, at the tip. So it stopped working. But I'm serious. Meg, and do I think she's a 10 or whatever? I think that's beside the point. The thing about Meg is she's signature. And what I mean by signature is she could have just left with that Hensley dude. She could left with any old white dude, but she could, Hensley could have been the knight in shining armor after her homeboy shot her in the foot. And that would have been like, oh, that's a win for black men. It still would have been a win for black men. And the reason why is I was at um I was at a sports bar watching some of the basketball games, and these white girls were giddy. Oh, she's so cute. Oh, like I'm like, usually white girls, they're a little bit defensive, but we haven't had like a beauty power move that was that stark in a while. Everybody was feeling her. And you know what? The next Meg Thee Stallion, she's coming out of Redlinia, most likely. She could be in one of the 5 good neighborhoods, but most likely she's coming out of Redlinia. Because you might have the femininity. You'll have the femininity from other women. You might even have some stack. I've seen a stacked white chick once. I've seen a cute ass Irish chick once. But you know what you won't have? You won't have the hair. You won't have the skin. And chances are the next brother ain't gonna be dumb enough to shoot her in the foot. So it's a win regardless of what she does, because she's up in the standards. And when you up the standards, it ups your leverage with other women, because perception and propaganda is reality. People see that and they're like, yo, that black dude has options. He ain't fiending for me. He just had the baddest bitch on the planet for a day. And that ends up being the thing. And that's one of the reasons why there's been pushback against wearing bonnets, because you look like the goddamn Berenstein Bear mother. It's not cute. It lowers the standards. And that really doesn't benefit men or women. I think some women are like, hey, if we lower the standards, we don't have to try as hard. That doesn't necessarily work. I mean, maybe if your only competition was against people who wear bonnets or something like that. But everybody else is looking at that like, oh, okay, all I got to do is get a cool ass um, hat or something. Anything looks better than that. So this was a beauty power move that gives black people leverage, period. Just like Jessica Fox, or Vivica, I'm calling it Jessica. Vivica Fox was checked by Ice Cube. Black men are black people. I think sometimes black men forget that too. They see black women winning and they thinking, oh, it's just for them because that's how Democrats kind of massage things. But in this case, we're all winning. I mean, maybe she's more my type in a sense, but I'm telling you right now, if you were to take a statue of Meg the Stallion that day and drop her off in the sticks where people don't know Western culture worth a damn, man, they would deify that statue. They'd be praying to the statue for like miracles to come out of her buttocks. She was bad, man. I'm serious. And they gonna copy her. You gonna see people trying to, mark my word, you gonna see people trying to copy her. Because what she did was she took Excalibur's sword between the cheeks of her buttocks and planted it on the mound. And you're gonna see females trying to pull that sword out. And they're gonna play coy. They're gonna wait a few years, but you're gonna see somebody trying to come up there swinging some curves around, looking all cute and dainty, and trying to look anime cute. And I think it's going to be failure, 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 failure. It'll be a while before somebody pulls that sword out. Yeah, let a white chick try to pull that out. I tell you though, and another thing, like maybe some of the manosphere men will understand when I tell y'all, this ain't a win for feminists. Feminists seem to want to lower standards. Don't try to be feminine for men. Don't try to be a bad bitch that competes with me. But I will end with this. I'll say this to black women. Don't try to out-ass her. Because chances are if you try to out-ass her, you're just going to put on fat. If you want to out-ass her at the gym. Don't out-ass her in the surgery room. Out-ass her by shrinking your tummy. Out-ass her by doing some squats. But don't try to out-ass her in South America. Nah, that's dangerous and it ain't gonna work. The authenticity of how stacked she was what had, like, when I was at that sports bar, I ain't seen white girls, I won't say they were drooling, but she had lesbian action. She definitely had lesbian action. I don't know if those girls were drunk or what, but just my take. It's a win for black men. Know when you're winning. And I promise you, the next time I do anything live, I'm going to talk about something a little bit more important. One thing I might do is I've been trying to gather up some of the sources from last week, and kind of present those so you can figure out, because I made some claims and I know like Aston said, hey, if you have any questions, timestamp me, I'll find the source. I should have said the same thing, but I was going back listening to it and I'm like, no, I didn't. So like, just because I think even Aston was like, whoa, where is he getting this? So I want to go into the logic, because some of my sources, I'll be real, aren't great, but it's one of those things where there's nothing better. So you got to take what's best. And we're at the 20-minute mark. I'm done. Hey, see y'all later.